The prophet Isaiah prophesied about these same times and events, saying in Isaiah 27 verse 13, "It shall be in that day that a great trumpet will be blown, and they will come who are about to perish in the land of Assyria. And those who are driven out of the land of Egypt, they will worship the Lord on the holy mount at Jerusalem." The prophet reveals that the great trumpet will be blown at that time. And when that trumpet is blown, it says those who are about to perish will enter from the land of Assyria. Those who were also driven out of Egypt. So we see that the very moment that the trumpet is blown, those from Assyria coming from the east will enter Jerusalem. On the 6th of April 2002, we saw a sign that appeared to us in the heavens. I saw a sign of a large menorah that appeared in the north country, that is, in the nation of Israel. Then I saw next to the sign appeared another sign of an angel with a trumpet in his hand. Then I saw something like a nuclear explosion that came out of the nations of the east. Then I saw a sign of one who appeared in the sky, who looked like a rooster, who in his pride and arrogance kicked with a cocky attitude towards the nations of both the east and the west, towards China, India, Pakistan, and North and South America. And I heard how something like a drum full of vile and detestable things was opened. And then the bottomless pit was opened, and a large army was coming forth from it. Yeshua revealed to us that at that time, when this Assyrian army, led by a leader called by the prophet Isaiah, the Assyrian, comes into the land of Egypt, at that time there will be a nuclear war. Then will arise a man whom Yeshua reveals as a rooster, who like a rooster is cocky and has a proud and arrogant attitude. It also, Yeshua reveals that at that time something like a drum or a cup of the abominations of the earth will be opened up. That is when sin has reached its fullness, when the abomination of desolation has been set up, and when it's reached a pinnacle, then the desolator will rise, as we have seen. And the bottomless pit will be opened, and a nuclear bomb will be dropped in the area of Israel. We have seen in the other sign that we have seen earlier of how 3 horns had to be removed. We saw 3 bombs that were dropped on the different countries. But the 4th bomb that had to be dropped was a large bomb that was dropped in Israel. This is a nuclear bomb that was dropped in the area of Megiddo. The prophet Zechariah also saw these very same things. In Zechariah chapter 14 verse 2, Yahweh revealed to the prophet, saying, "For I will gather all nations against Jerusalem to battle, and the city shall be taken, the houses rifled, the woman ravished. Half of the city shall go into exile, but the rest of the people shall not be cut off from the city. Then shall the Lord go forth and fight against those nations, as when he fought in the day of battle. And his feet shall stand in that day upon the Mount of Olives, which lies before Jerusalem on the east. And the Mount of Olives shall be split in two from the east to the west, by a very great valley. And half of the mountain shall be removed towards the north, and half of it towards the south. And you shall flee by the valley of my mountains, for the valley of the mountains shall reach to Azel, and you shall flee as you fled from before the earthquake in the days of Uzziah, king of Judah. And the Lord my God shall come, and all the holy ones, the saints and the angels with him. It shall come to pass in that day that there shall not be light. The glorious and the bright ones, the heavenly bodies, shall be darkened. But it shall be one continuous day, known to the Lord, not day and not night, but at evening time there shall be light. The prophet prophesied about a time when Jerusalem will be surrounded by her enemies, when all the nations will be gathered together against Jerusalem to battle against the Jews in Israel. Then Yeshua revealed to his servant that the city will be taken, the houses will be rifled, women will be ravished, half of the city will go into exile, half of the city will be taken by the Gentile nations and will be trampled, as we have seen earlier, for a period of 42 months. But the rest of the people shall not be cut off from the city. It says at that time, Yahweh, Yeshua will fight against those nations. There will be a war against heaven on earth. And Yeshua will come and he will release the power of his judgment against all those nations. He will stand with his feet on the Mount of Olives. And then the Mount of Olives will split. And there will be a great earthquake that will cause the split of the mountains. And then he says that the people who believe will flee through that valley in the Mount of Olives, as they fled in the earlier days before the earthquake. We have just seen earlier that as soon as the two witnesses ascend up into heaven, there will be a great earthquake in that very hour. And a tenth of the city of Jerusalem will actually fall, and 7,000 people will die in that earthquake. Then it was revealed to the prophet Zechariah. It says, then the Lord shall come with all the holy ones, the saints and the angels with him. We see that this is the day when Michael come to blow the trumpet. This is the day when the four angels at the four corners of the earth have been held back because they were sealing all the servants of God on their foreheads. And after they had been sealed, at that moment, they will be caught up into heaven. And they will be brought before the throne of God. And they will be given white festive robes to wear because they are worthy, because they have washed themselves in the blood of the Lamb. The prophet also revealed that that very day will be a day known to the Lord. It will be a different day. It will be a day where at evening there will be light. What we really see, the prophet is saying that there shall not be light. Then he says there will, the glorious and the bright ones, that is the heavens will be shaken. And then at evening there will be light. The prophet is making it clear that there will be a solar eclipse that will appear in the sky. But at evening the solar eclipse will disappear and it will be light again. This will be the sign that the time has come for Yeshua to come and take away his bride from the earth. After Yeshua had shown John what will happen when the seventh trumpet blows, he shows him another sign. It says in Revelation 12 verse 1, it says, a great sign and a wonder, a warning of future events of omnious significance appeared in the heaven. A woman clothed with the sun, with the moon under her feet, with a crown-like garland or thyatira of 12 stars on her head. And she was pregnant, and she cried out in her birth pains, in the anguish of her delivery. Then another omnious sign or a wonder was seen in heaven. Behold, a huge fiery red dragon, with 7 heads and 10 horns, and 7 kingly crowns or diadems upon his heads. The prophet and apostle sees a sign of a woman and a dragon that is at war. He sees a woman that is pregnant, and she's about to give birth, and she is in birth pains. we will look in the next seminar how we have seen earlier that Yeshua said, when you see these things, know that it's only the beginning of birth pains. But up until this time, the woman has been in birth pains, and she is now about to deliver. And the dragon is also a symbol of the very beast system that we have seen, having 7 heads and 10 horns. We see that Satan is the beast that sits behind this entire system. This is an awesome sign that John sees, that reveals the very times and seasons of Yahweh, which we will look at in the finest detail in the next seminar. His tail swept across the sky and dragged down 1/3 of the stars and flung them to the earth. And the dragon stationed himself in front of the woman who was about to be delivered, so that he might devour a child as soon as she brought it forth. We see that this dragon, with his tail, cast down 1/3 of the stars. We've just seen earlier how Yeshua had revealed to us how a star would fall on the earth. And this star is actually Satan, who fell like lightning from heaven, and he was cast down to the earth. We know that Satan has caused 1/3 of all the angels to fall. But here, what many have not realized, and what Yeshua had shown us on the day that he revealed how he would send us to Europe, he showed how a comet was flying towards the country of Israel, and how hail and fire would enter the atmosphere, and how the tail of the burnt-out sun would cast out the asteroid belt and throw asteroids upon the earth, just like a dragon would flung the stars towards the earth. We see that this woman was about to give birth to the male child. And as soon as she gave birth, the dragon desired to devour her child. Yeshua revealed and said in Matthew 24, verse 29, immediately after the tribulation of those days, the sun will be darkened, the moon will not shed its light, and stars will fall from the sky, and the power of the heavens will be shaken. Then the sign of the Son of Man will appear in the sky, and then all the tribes of the earth will mourn and beat their breasts and lament in anguish. And they will see the Son of Man coming on the clouds of heaven with power and great glory, in brilliance and splendor. And he will send out his angels with a loud trumpet call, and they will gather his elect, his chosen ones, from the 4 winds, even from the one end of the universe to the other. Yeshua revealed immediately after the first part of the tribulation is over, then the sun will be darkened, just as Isaiah prophesied. The moon will not shed its light. Then the stars, or the asteroids, will enter the atmosphere, and they will look like stars falling from the sky. Then the powers of the heavens will be shaken. The earth will start to reel like a drunk man, as Isaiah said. Then a sign will appear in the heavens. This is very important to see, that it is not the Son of Man that Yeshua is saying will appear in the sky. It says the sign of the Son of Man will then appear in the sky. What is this sign of the Son of Man? We will see in the next seminar exactly what this sign of the Son of Man is. It said it was revealed to John that he saw a sign of a woman that had the moon under her feet. She was crowned with a garland of 12 stars, and she was clothed with the sun. And there was a dragon that was about to swallow up and devour her child that she was to give birth to. An awesome revelation is hidden in this sign, which we will look at in the next seminar. Then the eyes of all those on the earth will suddenly be opened. They will see the Son of Man coming on the clouds of heaven with power and great glory. This is the day that Paul prophesied about. And he said the Son of Man will come with a blast of a trumpet, with the voice of an archangel. And then he will, with a summons, he will call them up. He will send out his angels, and they will gather his elect from the four winds of the earth. We see that the four angels were still holding back the four winds on the earth until they have sealed all the servants of our God on their foreheads. Now the time has come for the four angels to be released. In Revelation 12 verse 5 it says, "And she brought forth a male child, who is destined to shepherd and rule all the nations with an iron scepter. And the child was caught up to God and to his throne." Here, Yeshua is revealing to John at the very moment that the child is born. On that very moment, the child will be caught up to God and to his throne. That is the very day when Yeshua will send out his angels to gather his elect from the four corners of the earth. Then it says, "And the woman herself was allowed to flee into the wilderness or the desert, where she had a retreat prepared for her by God, in which she is to be fed and kept safe for 1,260 days, or 42 months. This is the very same period that Jerusalem will be trampled. This is also the same time that Yeshua is revealing that they must immediately flee out of Jerusalem when they see Jerusalem being surrounded by all her enemies. This is when the Gentiles will come in to trample the outer court, when the abomination of desolation is set up, and when a nuclear bomb is about to explode. Yeshua had warned that in that time, when you see Jerusalem surrounded, you must not go back into the city to try and get something, but must flee immediately. He will do even more than that. He will create a valley and open up a valley for them to flee through, just like they did in the time of Uzziah. And he will keep them safe, and he will protect them in the wilderness, in the desert, just as he did in the time of Moses, protecting them under the cloud of his glory and through his mighty hand. He will give them, the scripture says, wings like eagles. In Revelation 12:9, it says the huge dragon was cast down and out. And that age-old serpent who is called the devil and Satan, and who is the seducer or the deceiver of all humanity the world over, he was forced out and down to the earth, and his angels were flung out along with him. We see that at that time there will be a war in heaven, and Satan will be cast out. He will lose his matter of authority that he had to an even greater degree than he did before. When Yeshua died on the cross, he cast out Satan, and he made a public spectacle of him, triumphing over him by the cross. But at this time, another degree will happen. Satan will be completely cast out of the second heaven, and he will be thrown on the earth. And at that time, he will enter a man who will become the destroyer, or Abaddon, or he was said in Greek, Apollyon. And we will see in the rest of the seminar just how awesome these revelations and prophecies are. When the dragon saw that he was cast down to the earth, he went in pursuit of the woman who had given birth to the male child. But the woman was supplied with 2 wings of a great eagle, so that she might fly from the presence of the serpent into the desert or wilderness, to the retreat where she is to be kept safe and fed for a time, times and half a time, or a period of about 3.5 years, or 1,260 days. Then out of his mouth the serpent spewed forth water like a flood after the woman, that she might be carried off with the torrent. But the earth came to the rescue of the woman, and the ground opened its mouth and swallowed up the stream of water which the dragon had spouted from his mouth. So then the dragon was furious and enraged at the woman, and he went away to wage war on the remainder of her descendants, on those who obey God's commandments, and who have the testimony of Yeshua, their Messiah, and adhere to it and bear witness to him. It's revealed to John that after Satan will be cast down on the earth, he in great anger will start to pursue those who remain on the earth, the woman and her offspring. Who is this woman and her offspring? We will now see who this woman and her offspring actually is. This woman is the same prophecy that was prophesied right in the beginning when Yahweh spoke to Eve because of her sin and said, and he spoke to Satan and he says, I will put enmity between her seed and yours. And you will bite him in the heel, but he will crush your head. Not like the Roman Catholic Church says that she will crush his head, but he, her seed, that is Yeshua, will crush his head. We see that as soon as he is cast down, he will start to persecute those who worship Yeshua and adhere to his testimony and bear witness to him. Then she will be allowed to flee into the wilderness, and she'll be given the wings of an eagle. Isaiah prophesied and said, youths may grow tired, but those who walk in the presence of God, they will run and they will mount up like eagles. So Yeshua will allow his people in his presence to mount up like eagles and to do great exploits in those days. It says that she will be taken to a very specific place for a retreat where she will be kept safe. One day, as I was on a certain retreat also myself, I saw a vision of two huge hills, and I saw an entire nation that started to go in between these hills. And as I looked, I saw Yahweh standing on some kind of a veranda looking out from heaven. At that moment, Yahweh gave me revelation, and I had understanding that they were going to the city called Petra. Petra is a refuge city, which is the city that was made for the Israelites if they had committed manslaughter. We know that the Jews had committed manslaughter by killing Yeshua, but it was manslaughter because they did not know that he was the Messiah. At that time their eyes will be opened, and they will realize that Yeshua is the Messiah. They who are partially blinded will then suddenly realize that Yeshua, the one that the Christians had spoken about, Jesus, is actually their Messiah. The prophet Isaiah prophesied about how Israel will flee into the wilderness and be given wings like an eagle. It says in Isaiah 4 from verse 1 to 6, "In that day shall the branch of Yahweh be glorious and beautiful, and the fruit of the earth shall be excellent and comely for them that are escaped in Israel. It shall come to pass that he that is left in Zion, he that remain in Jerusalem, shall be called holy, even every one that is written among the living in Jerusalem. When the Lord shall have washed away the filth of the daughters of Zion, and have purged the blood of Jerusalem from the midst thereof, by a spirit of judgment and by the spirit of burning. And Yahweh will create above every dwelling place of Mount Zion, and upon her assemblies a cloud of smoke by day, and a shining of a flaming fire by night. For upon all the glory shall be a defense, and there shall be a tabernacle for a shadow in the daytime from the heat, and for a place of refuge, and for a covert from the storm and from rain." It was revealed to Isaiah. Yahweh said that he would protect his people, that he would create a canopy or a covering over them, just like he did to the Israelites in the desert. It says that those who remain at that time, those who escape from Jerusalem, they will be truly holy, because of his judgment that he's pouring out on the earth against the nations and against the Jews who were disobedient and kept on following the abominations, not believing that he is their Messiah. He will cleanse them with a spirit of judgment and of burning. His wrath will burn in great anger until he has accomplished in his zeal all that he has prophesied through his prophets. We see that it says, "In that day the branch of Yahweh will be beautiful and glorious." In the next seminar we will look at this woman having the moon under her feet and having in her hand a branch, the word in Hebrew called a tzamak, or a branch. And we will see how awesome this fits in giving us understanding of the times and seasons of Yahweh. Revelations 13, the beast out of the sea and the beast out of the land. In the next part of the seminar, we want to start looking in much detail at this leopard beast. We want to look at the world systems, and we want to see how this prophecy is about to be fulfilled in our time, and what Yeshua had revealed to us through signs in the heavens. In Revelation 13 verse 1 it says, "As I stood on the sandy beach, I saw a beast coming up out of the sea with 10 horns and 7 heads. And on his horns he had 10 royal crowns or diadems, and blasphemous titles or names on his head. And the beast that I saw resembled a leopard, but his feet were like those of a bear, and his mouth was like that of a lion. And to him the dragon gave his own might and power, and his own throne and great dominion. And one of his heads seemed to have a deadly wound, but his death stroke was healed, and the whole earth went after the beast in amazement and adoration. And they fell down and paid homage to the dragon, because he had bestowed on the beast all his dominion and authority. And they also praised and worshipped the beast, exclaiming, 'Who is a match for the beast, and who can make war against him?'" We see that this beast actually, as we have seen earlier, is a conglomerate beast that mainly consists and look like a leopard. And we have already seen that that is the Greek Empire. But now God goes even further, and Yeshua reveals that he has feet like a bear, and he has a mouth like a lion. And in the rest of the seminar, we want to look at this mouth like a lion and this feet like a bear. and what it resembles, and which nations does it actually speak about. It says the whole world went after the beast, and the dragon, or Satan, was the one who gave him his power and his authority. On the 4th of April 2002, during the day, I asked the Lord about the plans of espionage and the travel plans of the Antichrist, his war strategies and attacks which he will orchestrate in his attempt to rule the whole world. I've already spoken to you about how I've asked Yeshua a question about what is happening behind the scenes. What is the plans that are happening that we do not know anything about? That which we want to now reveal to you, we want to show you what Yeshua, the God of heaven and earth, the King of kings, have actually revealed. Not what a man has thought out, not what we call a conspiracy theory, but what Yeshua had shown through signs in the heavens, and which were seen by two witnesses at the same time, so that every matter may be established, and all men may know that this is the truth. After these signs, after I've prayed, I saw a sign that appeared in the sky of a man that looked like he was standing on two legs. This man represented the system or an organization of the beast, which is the Illuminati, a secret society, and its rule of the world with an iron hand and absolute dictatorship. This was also the sign of the authority and the strategic rule of the Antichrist system that Satan gave the beast. The head of the man looked like the head of a boar, and on his head was something like an old Roman soldier's hat. And in one hand he had a bow, and in the other hand was the sign of a swastika. Next to this hand also appeared another sign of a snake that swallowed its own tail. And with this sign appeared a sign of Satan that fell like lightning from heaven, and then will be cast into the lake of fire, which is the second death. And under his feet was a submarine on which the man was standing, representing the nuclear arsenals of the world. These different signs that actually appear to us are symbolic, and we will now look at the deeper meaning and understanding behind this symbolism that Yeshua had shown us. He had shown us a man standing in the sky, having two arms and two legs, and having the head of a boar. In the one hand, Yeshua showed us a sign that looked like the old Crusader cross that was on their shields. The other sign was a snake that swallowed its own tail. And then we also saw how it was standing on a submarine. These signs are very important. And on the other hand, he had a large bow. We have already seen in the interpretation of the former part of the seminar what this huge bow represents. It says in Revelations that there would be a man that comes riding on a white horse, and he was given a bow to conquer the nations. We have seen how Yeshua has interpreted this bow and used the USS Enterprise, the aircraft carrier, saying that this is the warfare power, which is like a bow with which they can shoot the nations, thus representing the white horse of Revelations. But what does these other signs mean? And we will now want to look at these signs and also reveal the plans that Satan has in order to put his man in position.